I'm live. Hi, this is Anita Dean. I'm happy you were able to join us. Now, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have joined initially just to get the discount on the product. But as I started creating cards and learning, I was filled with so much joy, I felt like I was going to burst and that I had to share it. And this is my effort to share the joy with you. I found card making exciting, challenging, and just filling with joy. Plus, you have the additional advantage of sharing that joy with others when you send what you've created. Now, I've taught in person classes for 4 years, but recently health issues have caused me where I had to step back from the in person classes. But that desire to share, the desire to spread the joy is still strong. And that's why I've turned to online. Now, I've done a little bit of Zoom, but this is new. This YouTube is new to me. It's a learning process. So please bear with me as I gain the experience to share with you through YouTube. Right now, in the beginning of the year, we have what's called Celebration. That's the brochure that's right here on top. The new mini catalog has been released, and in it are new products that you're able to purchase. But the catalog is more than just showing products. The catalog is also showing you samples of how to use the products. And a lot of demonstrators get their inspiration from these samples. The celebration comes into place because you have the possibility with purchases in increment of $60, you can make free selections from this catalog. For instance, this is a 6x6 designer series paper called Fruit Salad. I've seen a lot of people play with this and they're really cute. It's what appeals to you. They have some stamp sets. This one over here is a friendly seagull. And where I live, we have seagulls. And so that may be appealing with other oceanfront properties as well. They have stamp sets. They have papers. Now, this particular paper is one we'll be using some of today. I got it for free. They have more paper and embellishments. You can see these embellishments down here. Move that up a little closer. It's a set of, they call it purple adhesive back sequins. Yeah, there's some purple in it, but there's also kind of pinkish and white iridescent. You can get it for free. So as you get towards the back of the book, they have some items that they're offering, like this heart-shaped bundle, which includes the stamp set and the dies. And then here are lots of samples of it being put to use. But that would require $120 purchases, and the same would be with this corner and bloom set. And then again, here's examples. That's part of the fun of celebration, is when you make purchases, you're earning free products. I wanted to point one more thing out. Like me, I knew I wanted to do the stamping, and I was going to be buying a lot of product, and I knew I wanted to get a discount on it. So I joined to get the discount. Stampin' Up! Doesn't mind that at all. Hobby demonstrators are welcome. This is an option you have, a couple options you have for joining if you wish. The starter kit is $99, and then you can choose $125 worth of product. But they have two options specials during celebration. Option one is you can choose any two marker sets from the marker assortment. They have brights and they have pastels and they have regals and neutrals. Or you can, instead of doing that, you can add an additional $30 worth of free product in your kit. So it's a pretty good deal. And it's exciting to share. It gives you the opportunity to meet with people, have gatherings, and just share the fun and the joy, not only with the people you meet with, but with the people who get to receive your cards. Let's see. Now, the terrific toadstools set that we're going to be using. I'm moving stuff out of the way. Okay, the terrific toadstool set that we're going to be using today is here's a sample card we're going to be creating. And it uses a punch. And I'm going to show you a few tricks about using the punch. And the set itself has a lot of whimsical mushrooms that you can add in. And we'll be using several of the stamps in here today. I like mushrooms, so this appealed to me at the beginning. And then when the possibility of having the paper that coordinates beautifully, let's see if I can do this so you can see both sides. It just coordinates beautifully with the stamps set. And you have various backgrounds, the A side and the B side, so you have lots of choices. And the paper that I'm using today is this last one here. Now, here's another free item that I also got. I talked of the sequins, and actually the colors would go great with this set. I didn't happen to use them on my card this time, but you, depending on who you're sending it to or what the occasion is, you could easily do that. Now, to create the card, I'm going to move this over. Okay, to create the card, we needed, let's see, make sure, I'm trying to follow my thing so I don't miss anything. All right. I'm starting with a standard size card base cut out of Mango Melody. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. That's our card base. I have this piece of paper as the insert that will go inside when we're ready. I have all this stuff sitting out here, so it's ready for me, and then when I reach for it, it's hiding. Oh, there it is. Okay, I hit it. I put the sequins on it. All right, so the paper I'm going to be using from the Toadstool Gardens free designer series paper is going to go right on top of the card base, and it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then what I did, I'm going to keep this here so you can kind of see it. What I did was I took a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and then I used an embossing folder. This one is the bark embossing folder. It's now retired, but they do have like pine wood planks and things like that. Maybe you'll find something that can help to duplicate this. But for what I was doing, which the object was to create this tree trunk, is I was using the bark, and it worked perfectly. So what I did was I embossed it And here it is embossed. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coloring on the deboss side. Now, the way I do that, I'm going to move this out of the way right now. Keep it safe. And I have ever handy scratch paper. And I have my Early Espresso stamp pad. Now, this is the embossed cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply, and this is why you need the scratch paper, I'm simply going to rub it over the deboss side to give me the look of bark. And I want a little more color here, so I'm going to add a little more color. There we go. Now I have the tree trunk. Woo! All right. Move that out of the way. Let's start assembling. Oh, not exactly, a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take and I put, when I'm moving this out of the way, when I am adding cardstock or when I'm adding to my card base, adding paper, when I do the glue, I use liquid glue because it allows me a few minutes, not minutes, but a few seconds to adjust. I put the glue along the edge, okay? And if you want, you can put a little bit in the middle. The glue's pretty powerful, so you don't need a whole lot of it. But what I see, and this is, oh, sorry. This is one of the uses. A lot of times when I'm cutting cardstock and such, I'll end up with scraps. In this case, one of my favorite uses for the scraps is if I get too big of a blob in a spot and I don't want it to leak out, I can use the tip of it to smooth it out some, which is what I just did. Now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to line it up. Now I'm going to have to fix my lighting. I can see that because it's kind of blocking a little bit. And it allows me to adjust so that it's even on all sides. And once we get there, we're good. Okay. Now, for this card, I added some fern. And that I cut out. There was a set called Wild Ferns, and the die set had these ferns that you can die cut out, which is what I did. Saving time, I die cut it out of the Granny Apple Green. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be placing it behind here. And for right now, I'm going to just kind of lay it on here. Now I know this is longer than it needs to be. I'll be trimming that off. Now, this is a stamp set that encourages the use of scraps. And I got to quit covering over my notes. Okay. What happens with the punch, I'm going to open it by pushing this up, and it raises, if you can see, raises. Okay. And what you do is you take and you stamp your image, and then you're going to insert it. Now, this is a scrap, and I can put it to use, just like I used it to, pardon me while I line this up. Okay, just like I used it to spread the glue, I'm using it for a small punch to punch the stem of one of the mushrooms. Now this particular punch is designed, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it is back. Yeah, you can barely see it, but it's designed to cut within the colored section so you don't have a border of white. That's just how they designed it. And then we're going to stamp, and I'm bringing this over. We're going to stamp the 2 mushrooms. I have them mounted, ready to go. I try to get as much prepared ahead of time so I take less time showing you what I'm doing. Now, this is a photopolymer stamp. You can see through to where you're stamping. And I've got this pad here because it's been shown that the photopolymer stamp works better. It doesn't have the cushion like the red rubber stamps do, or the cling stamps. And by having it on the pad, you get a better transfer of the ink. And then I'm going to do the same with the little mushroom cap. Again, it's nice to be able to use up my scraps. I'm really thrilled about that part. Now I bring the punch in. All right, and I'm going to take this in. Now, by doing the scraps, you see, if you had a big piece of paper, you'd be cutting excess and wasting cardstock, basically. You want to line this up. I hope you can see this well enough. I have to get my head in there so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I need to get over here. All right. And that lighting is something I'm going to have to work on because I see too many shadows. Okay, I got it lined up. I'm punching it out. And there you can see the little rim of color. And the same thing is going to happen with this one. Bring it up in here. I'm going to bring it closer to line it up so I don't. Okay, I find when I put a little bit of pressure on it, it'll hold its place while I move so you can see better. And there you are. Now I have the 2 mushroom caps. And I have one stem, which was punched out. Oop, let me get it over here. This is the crumb cake that I stamped. There's white on this side and that way. But I wanted to point something else out. It was obvious, but I just didn't think of it. And here it is. I've got another scrap of crumb cake. And I'm just going to take a piece of it. You could do, since I stamped it in crumb cake, you could easily just take a scrap of crumb cake cardstock and do it that way. It's kind of like, duh. But if you were stamping on a card, that wouldn't work, you know, if you wanted to stamp your images. Another piece I stamped, let's see, the 2 stems, I did one. Here we go. Again, a piece of scrap. I did one in crumb cake and another one I did if I can get it out. Memo to self, do not keep everything locked up in its plastic bag. This one is shade, yeah. Okay, the name of it is, come on. Oh, here it is. Smoky Slate. That's what I was trying to remember. The chew. Anyway, this doesn't have a punch. This one I fussy cut out. I'm just saving time by having one already done. Now, what we're doing here, the 2 colors I used for the stems. Now, you are free to use whatever colors. Okay, Dorothy, are you there? Okay. Well, what I see is that performance issue alert. This tab is using extra resources to improve your performance. Let Chrome. Okay, so I can ignore that. Don't fix now. Okay. All right. All right. That's why you're there. All right. So okay, so you can use whatever colors you like, but these are the colors I chose because I was going by the color palette in the paper. And this one was the little grassy mound, and I stamped it in granny apple green. And I also fussy cut it out so it's ready to go. Okay. And then I need my. Okay, then we have our mushroom caps. I have extras now so I can make more cards. And then from that same set I used earlier, I cut a little fern. This is from the wild fern dies. I cut a little fern to add as decoration on my card. Now I'm going to do a couple quick things real here. Keep my pieces together. Yeah, I'm going to use crumb cake. All right. And then this will be here. This is here. I'm going to move this. I'm done with my stamping. Okay. Now I stamped the mushroom caps in Mango Melody. Again, coordinating with the color on the cardstock. Let me get my paper trimmer real quick. This strip needs to be at 5 1/4. So I'm going to take it on my paper trimmer, line it up, and cut it off. There we are. We're ready. I love this paper trimmer. When I first joined Stampin' Up, I had a paper trimmer. And I thought, well, I don't need to buy one. I already have one. But I quickly learned there's many advantages to this one. Number one is the white background and the grid and the extendable arm. And over off to this side, you can measure from this direction or you can measure up to 1.5 inches on this side, depending on how big your paper is. I find both very useful. And plus, this had a scoring blade. My other trimmer did not. Okay, now back to assembling the card. What we're doing is we are going to, I'm refreshing my notes so I stay on topic. Okay. We are going to do our placement. And what this means is I'm going to place things on the card where I think I want them to be. And I'm placing the tree trunk right next to the edge of the Designer Series paper, lining it up, and I have the ferns behind it. Now, nothing is glued at this point because I want to be sure I have it where I want it. Now, what I can glue, and this is just a dot of glue, is I can glue the stems of the toadstool. There it goes. In place. And let that dry a little bit. And then the other one is big enough I can use a glue dot. These are mini glue dots, one of my favorite tools. Okay, let's see. There's those. Boop. I just apply it and peel it off, and it's got sticky on it now. Many times that comes in real handy, especially if it's an afterthought and you need to get it underneath something that had already been placed and you want to secure it better. Uh, it's a handy little thing to be able to do. Okay, now I have my mushroom, but I want the mound. Where'd the mound go? There it is. Okay. I have the grassy mound, which I'm bringing at the bottom of the trunk. All right, lining it up. And then we have the mushroom. And then we're having the other mushroom. Okay. And then I just wanted to add additional fern. All right. So that part's good. And I like where the ferns are. They're kind of poking out from behind the tree. So now we're ready to glue. And as I disassemble this, I hold on to where the ferns are with the tree so I know the placement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same idea of the glue strip and add some glue. Let's hold it still. Okay, add some glue in here. And then I'm going to simply take it and lift it up. I hope you can see this. I'm still working on my lighting. Okay, adding a bit of glue there. Let it come down. Make sure it's behind the tree. All right. And then that keeps it in position. And then I'm going to do a similar thing down here. Just add, for more security, the glue and let it. Now we have our fern glued. And I see I have a little bit extra. Okay, let's take off the extra. Usually when I'm doing this, I'm doing it closer to me. It's a little harder when I'm trying to show you guys. Now, once that's in place, then I can take the glue and add it to the tree trunk as well. And the positioning of the tree trunk, I'm adding extra glue in this case because it is embossed and you don't have as much contact. And I'm just lining the tree trunk up with the card, the designer series paper, making sure it's in the proper position. Now I can add a little glue to this. And what's nice about it, and here's another tool idea for you. You can get one of these. This is a reverse tweezer. I'm trying to put it so you can see. You push on it and it opens. And when you let go, it holds. You can get one of these if you were to purchase Stampin' Up's kit for heat embossing, which has a tray and an embossing buddy, which is similar to this. It's a powder that keeps your embossing from sticking places where you didn't want it. Now, as you see, my ferns are still loose here. If I wanted to, I could use that same technique and put glue behind it, real quick. That's easy enough to do. But because I am doing the mushrooms, I'm going to have something on top of it to kind of hold it in place. Now, what's going to happen here, I'm going to put that there. Okay. So what's going to happen here is I want the top of the mushrooms to pop out a little. And in order to do that, I'm going to use dimensionals. And these are little octagons, if you will. They're two-sided sticky. The top sticky is covered for protection. And then for the base of the mushroom, yes, I do have that on mine, but let's put it up here. All right. For the base of the mushroom, I'm going to add just a dab of glue. I'm going to remove the stickies or the cover so that the stickiness is revealed. And then I'm going to use the placement tool. This has been one of my favorite things, especially when you're working with something small. Again, with the mushroom, a little bit of glue at the base. And then I'm going dimensionals again. Now, one of the fun things, challenging things with creating cards is so many times you'll have something in your hands. You'll set it aside. And then when you go to use it, you can't find it. Most of the time because you set something else on top of it. But some people make a game out of it. You know, how many of us like puzzles? You know, well, it becomes a natural puzzle. All right, here we go. And there we have our mushroom with the dimensionals. I have one more little piece here. Now, I'm going to show you another trick. And I wasn't planning on this, but you're going to learn it. All right. This is a silicone mat, which means the glue won't stick to it. It'll roll right off. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm going to add it here. Okay. And I'm going to take a sponge, a simple old regular sponge. And I'm going to dab the sponge in the glue, getting it on the sponge. Then I'm setting this little intricate piece, this fern, on here. And I'm dabbing it, the glue onto the fern. Now I can take this fern, move this out of the way. I can take this fern and just kind of place it as an additional decoration on the card. Now we're done with the punch, but we have the inside. And for that, I'm going to use, I'm going to use these two colors. I'm going to use pecan pie, crumb cake, and I'm also going to bring in granny apple green. Now I'm going to show you another trick. This is the inside piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate it a little bit. If you see the original card I did, I added a little bit of stamping to decorate the inside. I wasn't planning on putting a sentiment inside because we're going to do one on the outside. And popping up to say hi, it's sort of like a note card type sentiment. Now, if you want to just have stamp later on, happy birthday, or let's celebrate, or something like that, you can do that. But that original sentiment that we're going to put on the front is kind of an open book as far as what you want to do. Now, again, because we are using the photopolymer stamps, I have them mounted and ready to go. What I'm going, oh, one more. Oh yeah, I got to get that. Two more actually. Okay. What I'm going to do See, this is there. It is the. I set the card set aside. And I buried it. This is what we go through all the time. There it is. All right. I need a little leaf. And I have the others ready to go. Oh, this is the same. Oh, I put that on already. Okay, good. All right. So, for the leaf, that scratch paper I had, where did I put? There it is. Okay. Scratch paper. It's always handy. All right. I'm going to stamp in Granny Apple Green a little branch, but what I'm doing is I'm going to do what's called second generation. I'm going to do several samples. This is first generation. This is second generation. And you can even do third generations in some cases, but you can barely see that. But the object is to see the difference in the vibrancy of the color. And I didn't want that to stand out overly strong. I wanted to highlight the mushrooms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the Granny Apple Green. I'm calling stamping off. And then I'm going to stamp it down here very lightly. Then I'm ready to go in. Let's cover this up. One of the dangers of stamping is having exposed pads, which you accidentally end up getting into one way or another. So I'm pretty rigid about getting in there and removing or closing up my stamp pads as soon as I'm done. Because nothing is worse than working on a card and then discovering suddenly, oh no, I got it in the stamp pad. Okay, now I'm putting the stem here. This is crumb cake, but that's full strength. All that work, and you ruin it just by accidentally putting the paper in the wrong place. Okay, now I'm using pecan pie for this. And I'm looking at the, again, clear stamp, and I'm lining it up. I'm going to bring it closer so I can line it up better. There we go. Now our little inside is ready to go. Again, just like I did with the front piece, I'm going to add the glue around the edge. Keeping it back, maybe a quarter of an inch so that it doesn't seep out. And if you want to put a little in the middle, you can. And lining it up. And this is where the liquid glue shines because it gives me a chance to make sure everything is even. And we're good. And then got one more stamping to do. I think I have. Yes, I do. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sentiment popping up to say hi. And I'm going to stamp it in the Mango Melody. Now here's another tip. What happens is I am stamping this. Now sometimes people stamp right on the cutout piece, but I'm stamping this on a piece of scratch paper. If for some reason I stamped it crooked, I can still adjust it because I'm going to die cut it out. And I didn't think to bring my die cut machine over here, but I will be right back as soon as I line up. Okay, here's those wild fern dies again. What I do, oh, this is another hint. What I do when I get my die kits is I take a photocopy of the layout and then I have it to reference when I'm going to get everything to fit back where it belongs. It's been, plus it gives you a real quick inventory of what you have, so you can notice, oh, I'm missing this piece or that piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up here. I'm going to make sure that it's straight and balanced on each side. I usually, no, I'm going to have to do, all right, well, you have a couple of options here. You can use, I haven't been using it over here, but you can use some washi tape to hold it in place, or you could use a Post-it note. Over by my machine, I have Post-it note tape. Okay, I'm just kind of holding it down. And the object is, it holds it in place, but you can remove it without tearing your paper. Now with washi tape, sometimes you have to be a little more careful. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. It's been die cut, and then I just carefully remove it. Carefully remove it. Okay, I saved my little pieces of washi tape because you can use them several times before you have to say they're done. And I try to get as much use out of what I have as possible. And you'll find that I'm kind of a frugal stamper in a way, but I'm not shy about using the pretty papers because I love them. All right, so we're done with that. Now we're going to add dimensionals. And in this case, I'm going to put one in each corner. All right. And get it. Now, I thought I mentioned this too. These little covers, the little bits, I tried to keep them all together, corralled, because if you don't, they will end up in the funniest, unexplainable places. Now, I popped this up on dimensionals, and I'm going to, and I like to use this because I can see better my placement, but I'm going to see where I'm putting it, make sure it's even, and there we have it. Your card is finished. I hope you enjoyed this. I have regular classes I'm trying to teach online now. The YouTube is my beginning in learning how to do that. And I am excited, a little scared, and I need lots of practice. So the other classes, the next class I hope to teach using YouTube, I'm going to bring this out so that you can see what I'm talking about. I have a one sheet wonder that I found, and what it does, these, let me move these out of the way. These are, you take one sheet, 12 by 12 designer series paper, and you can create 8 cards with it. Now for the class, I have got, there's so many here, a few more. Okay, I have got 8 cards here. Now for the class, what I'm going to be doing is we are going to be creating the cards up to the point where you be adding the sentiment or embellishments. The object of that is it gives you the freedom to be creative on what you want the card to be for, what you want to use to decorate the card. In this case, I use some die cuts to add additional interest to the card. Now, I haven't quite set the date yet, but the class will be, the cost would be $45 because we're doing 8 cards. I will give you all the card-based materials, including the pieces to go inside, and I will walk you through the cards in creating them. They're designed to, like for instance, I have a Z fold here and a Z fold here. Now this one could be done horizontally, and this one, get it right direction, could be done vertically. So even though the layout's similar because of the way we just put the papers and which way we present it, they look different. Anyway, if you're interested in this class, let me know. I've got to set a date for it, but I need to know how many people are interested because I have to prepare the kits. There's a lot of work involved. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to be able to share more with you. And have a good day. Okay, now do I just do end stream? Okay, that's my little voice in my head that's answering my questions for me. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready to end, right? There we go.